Hello and welcome to Cage Cat. And today I'm going to be talking about what I'd like to see in the Dungeons and Dragons 5.5 edition, or even 6th edition. So, if you're new to my channel, or even a fan of my channel, older fans of my channel will probably get confused by this video because I've only done one other Dungeons and Dragons video. I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, I mainly do Minecraft and Roblox stuff, but I want to start doing Dungeons and Dragons stuff on my channel at some point. And just, over the summer, me and my cousin are going to start playing games, and we're probably going to try recording it and uploading it to my channel, so, yeah. Anyway, so Dungeons & Dragons is a tabletop role-playing game where you use many books to play a game. It's actually really fun. It's kind of like a video game, except you can do whatever you want, unlike in video games, so you're, limited. For example, in Minecraft, you can't craft any item ever, like a gun or something, because that's just the limitation of the game. So, yeah. Dungeons & Dragons doesn't have limitations because how you play the game is someone's actually controlling everything. You get what I mean? Anyway, let's just not talk about that anymore. Most of the video will be talking about D&D terms and expected you to kind of know some basic D&D terms. So, yeah. Anyway, so 5th edition I think is really good in a lot of different things, but there's a few things I'd like to see changed. So I'm gonna be talking about two things, like how classes and races and also technology levels and stuff will be the things I'm mainly going to be focusing on. So let's go on the first thing, technology levels. D&D 5th edition is a medieval fantasy sort of game with tons of magic. But, what if I like the rules of 5th edition, I just wish I could do more with them, if that makes sense. For example, what I mean is 5th edition is just literally you're always stuck in a medieval fantasy setting. I want to make a more of a futuristic sort of setting for a game. And I feel a lot of people like the 5th edition rules, how we play the game. But I feel one of the things that needs to change in this is, the fact that maybe I don't know, maybe you want to do something like a more futuristic one-off or something like that. Well, the thing I want to do is more futuristic rule settings. I'll talk about how classes will be affected by this. But maybe the option to play one of the more futuristic sort of campaign setting, or even have a campaign setting without magic or something like that. And maybe it'll be two bars. They have a feature, a technology level bar and a magic bar. And some class and racial features are kind of limited depending on bar. For example, if you have a highest level magic and highest level of technology in your campaign world, then you can basically play whatever you want. Or if you have something that's really low magic and low technology, you're pretty limited on what you can play. So what I mean is for example, there might be a few classes that require you to have a certain technology level, because most of the stuff that's related to the class requires technology. I'd say there's 4 levels of technology. No technology, which is kind of caveman sort of technology. Low technology, which is medieval technology. Mid technology, which is our technology we have right now. And high technology, which is space technology. And magic is no magic, which just means no magic. Low magic, which means that there is magic, but a dark fantasy sort of thing. Medium magic is kind of Forgotten Realms level magic. And high magic, basically everyone knows what spell are too. If that makes sense. So, yeah. And depending on what level of those 4 levels you have determines what some classes or some couple classes and even some races. For example, a race that has a magic base built into them might not work in a setting that has no magic. For example, elf that has a high elf gets some starting spells. Well, in a world where there's no magic, you can't really play elf, if that makes sense. But yeah, so the first thing I would see is you get to choose what technology and what magic level you have for your role, which will have more customization. And what will also affect classes. For example, a class like a rogue, for example, wouldn't really be affected by any magic or anything like that. But if you're playing the no magic world, then maybe you could play for example, what's the arcane trickster subclass, because of the fact that you get magic, and if no magic world, you couldn't play that. On the same level, if they had more technology-based classes, then those classes would require you to have, more of a knowledge, for example, more technology-based class, depending on no tech level. Artificer and no tech level wouldn't work for something else like that, you get what I mean, right? Not to mention that just the tech level in general, a magic level could determine what kind of stuff you can play. There's a little bar, a green on the there's 4 dots, I mentioned before, you're fighting for no, low, medium, and high. A green means you can play it in that level. Yellow means it's risky to play it in that level, but it could work. And red means you can't play it in that level. And then there's a little bar in between them, folks. And we can play something with a high tech, medium tech, or space aliens and stuff like that. The technology just, also worlds you can have technology and magic levels increase or decrease. For example, Forgotten Realms, there's been times apparently where magic died for a little bit. That would be like an example of a no tech world, and no magic world, and then it goes up to low, and then medium, and then tech magic. You know what I mean, right? But yeah, anyway, that is my first suggestion on this list. Oh, and like also there'll be new classes, and if that makes sense, released that would be effect based. Also, some classes like some classes might work in like all tech levels, and all magic levels, but some classes might be exclusive. For example, a rogue that like start like a more futuristic thing, maybe like a bounty hunter and have more like laser like looking proficiencies based off of that. But like also technology level and magic level will also determine what proficiencies you get as a class. Like you might get some proficiencies like different proficiencies. Like you might get like different proficiencies depending on like tech level, because the technology might not be existing for that class, or like you don't use that technology anymore. But yeah, it was so hard to explain. But yeah, the next thing on this list is it's multi-classing subclasses. So D&D 5e has the rules where you can play characters from level 1 to 20. One of the things that I find weird is that like, you can have multiple different classes, but not multiple different subclasses. For example, let's just say you're playing I don't know, what's example? I don't know any good examples. A fighter, and you're playing like Eldritch Knight, but like you say, your character makes sense to have both the Eldritch Knight features and the Battlemaster features. But why can't you multi-class subclasses? You can change subclasses. Tasha's Cauldron's updated the rules that game adds, but like you can't multi-class subclasses. My proposal is that like once you reach the level, you can get subclasses in your class, and you can level above that. Instead of taking like features for your like next subclass level, you take features of the other subclass level. But like your class level, like let's say you're level 3 fighter and you're doing like Eldritch Knight level 3. Level 4, you choose instead of taking the leveling up Eldritch Knight, you decide to take the Battlemaster, but still being the fighter. You get all the level 4 fighter features, just like the skill increase, but you have the features of both subclasses. At the same time as both those features, you would also be able to get, new subclass features. Like for example, you choose a subclass you get the level up for, and the class itself gets the level up. So like you have two subclasses. Like your class level will be a combination between the two subclass levels, but like you don't get the features of the subclass at like certain levels. You know what I mean? And maybe we update the level of how classes work in general. Like maybe we get classes that only level up to like the 8th level or something, or classes that go up to the 30th level. You know what I mean, right? And maybe you have the ability to just keep leveling and leveling up, even if you pass like a certain class level where there's nothing to go in the class, you just multi-class in something else. I think that would be a cool option. So having like some mini classes or something that should only have like 8 or 10 levels, or even smaller, would be cool. Next on the list is I've talked about how classes can be updated, and also the technology levels, because we also kind of go there. But I feel like races also need something new to them. Because races are all these different fancy species you can play as. So one of the things though is you can play as some races like the half elf that exist, which are basically the appearance of each different race. Why can't you play? The first thing I want to see is rules for like playing a character like a mix between two different races. Of course, there'll probably be like breeding groups or kind of like how Pokemon has. So when Pokemon's video game, there's like different breeding groups. Like it's model and Pokemon can breed together, but you know what I mean, right? But yeah, anyway, so. Like, being in these groups determines, like, what species you can compare. It's gonna be, like, for example, human and lizard folk probably couldn't do it, but, like, a human and elf would literally already have a half-elf in the game, so, But you get some of the, like, for example, it'll be, like, a little point system, like, depending on how much of a mix you are between the two creatures, you get different features from, each parent, or each creature, if that makes sense. So, you might only get some of the elf features, but only some of the human features, but if you do that mix, but, maybe it'll be optional special features as well if you're playing like a mix between two different creatures, that they could also get special bonus features as well for playing that mix, if that makes sense. And you know what I mean, right? Another thing I would see is when they play a creature that has the same race but has different sub-races. For example, you can play a high elf drow, which would have some of the features from each race, but you know what I mean, right? Like, there's a point, I don't know how to explain it, like, it'll be like some sort of system that would show how much of, like, you can't have the full racial features if you're playing a mix. Or if you're playing something with two sub-races, you get all the full racial features, but you get, like, a mixture between sub-race features. And even then, when you play this mixed creature, you choose if the parent has race as a sub-race, you actually get to choose that, and if you have not as much of a mix, you actually get some of the sub-race features. And over time, however, if you play such a mix between like 4 or so different things, you might lose some race features. So it's so hard to explain. But yeah, anyway. The next thing on the list is I want there to be easier ways to get into the game. Like, Certs and Essentials kit are nice for 5th edition, but like, what if there was books that came with like a few, like they would have all the core rules, like the core rules would be like print outable and stuff that you can just buy out for free. But when you buy these books, you'll get like the core rules, but then the character options won't be the same as like the main, like the free course main core rule books. But over time, like you would get, of course, like the free main core rulebooks and maybe optional 4th rulebook that allow you to maybe transfer your stuff from the 5th edition, like maybe 6th edition or 5th edition to 5.5th edition. You can have rules for how to explain how that stuff gets transferred up. It would be cool for like a 4th core rulebook, but it's not like required. It's sort of like kind of semi core rulebook, like supplementary maybe. That's official. And on top of that, like you also have, but the core rulebooks which will also come with like dice in the back of them maybe. Like you have like all the normal dice you would need in the back of the core rulebooks, which would be kind of cool. And also, you can also get mini core rulebooks. Like maybe there'll be like some starting campaign books out. Give you like all like, and also maybe the core rulebooks will be a combined version which has all 3 of the core rulebooks together. As option you could buy, but it'll be more expensive and they'll be much bigger and harder to carry around. But you also get dice in the back of it and all the core rules. And maybe there'll be options like you can get different like versions of like maybe starting stats, or you get like all the character options. Like you have all the core rules. You get all the character options and items that's based around a certain campaign setting. For example, Minecraft. Maybe you instead of like normal like D&D options, like it'll give you like options for playable characters in the Minecraft setting, all the rules of how to play, and like some dice in the back. So it'll be kind of like campaigns, if that makes sense. So it can be like based on the campaign setting. But yeah. So that'll be kind of cool, seeing like a book where you get like all the starting stuff you would need, plus like a campaign setting, maybe a pre-run campaign, all in one. You get what I mean? That's how to explain. Like it'll be, of course, the core rulebooks you can buy, which are like the fullest. Like you can get all the core rulebooks combined. Maybe the new editions have all the core rulebooks combined, or you can get all the core rulebooks separately, if that makes sense. And maybe some like the core rules, if you take out all the character options, items, and monsters, and like replace them with stuff from a new campaign setting, but it'll be like less stuff because there'll be a pre-run campaign in it. You can also buy something like that as well. Get people into the game, and then you can buy the core rulebook, which you can like the full rules. For example, like the tech and magic level stuff might not be in these books because they're based on a campaign setting that has only 1 tech and magic level. If that makes sense. But yeah. Also, I like the idea of a starter, like maybe like a giant starter box, which would be more expensive. Like have all 3 of the core rulebooks, some dice, a pre-running campaign or something like that, and the map. Some stuff you not like map, like some DM screen and stuff like that. For like $50 or $60 or so. That would also be cool. I don't know, I'm not really good at money. But yeah. Like that's kind of like the features I want. I know this is kind of hard to unpack because I talk really fast. But yeah, if you're really into, and I know this is not my normal type of content on my channel, but yeah. And this is the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe to the Cage Cat on YouTube, and peace. And I hope you guys like my ideas for like a 6th edition or 5.5th edition. From what I've heard, apparently to make a 6th or 5.5th edition, you should be able to transfer all of your stuff from 5th edition up. From what I've heard, but yeah,